Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you've ever felt like your voice didn't matter, like your story wasn't worth sharing, you're not alone. At the Empowerography Live in-person conference this year, we brought together voices from around the world, women who chose to stand up, speak out, and share stories that changed lives. And here's the truth. Your voice matters too. If you've ever felt that pull to share your story as a guest on a podcast, to start your own podcast, or step into your power, this isn't random. It is your invitation. Head over to empowerographypodcast.com and see how you can turn your voice into impact, because your story isn't just yours. It's someone else's survival guide. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Lynn Reckamp. She is the Executive Director of Holiday Heroes, where she channels her passion into bringing joy and comfort to pediatric patients. Welcome, Lynn. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
It is my honor and my pleasure. Thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today. I am so excited to have you and looking forward to jumping in and sharing about all the beautiful light you put out into the world through the incredible work you're doing, as well as a bit about your story and your journey. So with that being said, let's jump right in. So I would love for you to share what you were doing for a living before taking on this role, and how you got into this work, where your journey started, and how did the opportunity to do this work come up?
Sure. Prior to this, I was the executive director of downtown Crystal Lake, which is a northwest suburb of Chicago. And I love my job. We had about 170 businesses in downtown Crystal Lake, and it's a very thriving, vibrant, great place to be, eat, shop, spend time. And one of the board members at Holiday Heroes reached out to me and said, "We're looking for a new executive director, and you were the first person that I thought of." And I said, "I'm not really looking for a job." And the more we talked, I hung up the phone and I knew, Brad, that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
So for those who don't know, tell us what Holiday Heroes is and tell us what
Oh,
you do.
I would love to. Holiday Heroes is a non-for-profit, and our mission is so sweet and simple. We spread joy to pediatric patients. And we do this by going into these hospitals and we throw parties for the kids. We come in, we bring in decorations. So if it's St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's Day, we decorate the playroom. We bring in a catered lunch to some of the hospitals that allow it. We bring in activity boxes, which is a good size box with like a week's worth of crafts and games and things to keep the kids busy. We bring in hero packs, which is a little grab and go activity where the kids get to design their own superhero mask and cape. And we always say that our hero packs give the kids superhero healing powers. We bring in sensory bags, which is our number one requested product. It's a pouch and it's filled with fidget toys and things that soothe and calm the patient. So if a kiddo is having a procedure or a treatment done, Child Life will say, "Okay, let's take something out of the sensory bag to hold during your treatment." Everyone, it doesn't matter if you're 2 or 52, everyone loves our sensory bags. So we bring in a lot of stuff, but the real magic of our parties is we bring in a costume character. And in Chicagoland, we have a professional character actress that portrays over 30 different characters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The hospitals are able to choose the character, and she goes in, and I can only describe it as magic. She instills bravery and resilience and strength in these patients, and not only the patients, but their families. As you can imagine, some of these families are bedside for weeks and months, waiting for answers and questions that with their child's medical, whatever situation they're in. She just brings joy, and we bring joy. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of this mission.
What an incredible gift.
It really is. And I think our biggest challenge is we're not St. Jude's. We're not Ronald McDonald House. We're not one of those names that everyone recognizes. So I think our biggest challenge is just getting our mission out there, because I feel like when people hear our mission, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to get involved. I want to volunteer. I want to donate. So that's my job, is to get that mission out
Well,
there.
I love it. So what types of characters do you bring in? What types of characters does this woman portray?
So anything Disney that you can ever think of: Elsa, Anna, Cinderella, Snow White. She does Batgirl. Wonder Woman is probably her most requested, because I feel like that's like boys and girls both love Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She recently, I don't know if you're familiar with this K-pop Demon Hunters
No.
phenomenon. I'm not either. My kids are not little, but it's this like craze right now. And there's a character from that named
Mhm.
Rumi.
Okay.
And a few weeks ago, our actress developed, and she makes all her own costumes,
Oh,
and she gets a
wow.
character. So she sings their songs. She makes she just really is completely into character.
Embodies the character.
Yeah, and this Rumi, I guess she's like the biggest thing ever, and she was at a hospital party a couple weeks ago, and they had a patient, a long-term patient, that was crazy over this K-pop demon
Mhm.
hunter, but they didn't tell him because they knew he would never they said that he would never stop. So when she got there, he's in a wheelchair. He started crying.
Aw.
We're gonna do a concert together, and he knew every word to every song. And at the end of the day, Brad, he said, this is a kid that's been in the hospital for months and is wheelchair bound. He said, this is the best day of my life.
Oh my God. Wow. That's it. That's what this is about, is bringing that much joy to these
Yes.
children. What a
Yeah.
beautiful mission and gift that you're giving these kids. I think it's so powerful. Amazing.
It's pretty special. It really is. Yeah.
And to
I
be
have so
part of that though, Lynn,
yeah.
that's wow.
And I cry at every hospital party, and it's
Mhm.
typically not because of the kids. It's because of the parents that come up to me and say, my daughter has been here for 3 weeks. We're trying to find the answers to what's going on with her. I
Mhm.
haven't even seen her crack a smile, and she's dancing with Elsa right now. So thank you.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So take us back to the very first experience for you stepping into this world, your first hospital, your first child, your first holiday moment. What did you expect to feel? And what did you actually feel when you walked through that door?
My first hospital party that I attended was a Valentine's Day party, and I don't know, I don't have a medical background,
Mhm.
and I wasn't sure what I was going to encounter. All I can tell you is there was a mom, and she was sitting there, and we went in, and her daughter was probably 2 or 3, like a toddler. And who did we have that day? I think we had Wonder Woman that day. And she was engaging with this little girl, and the mom turned and she looked out the window, and tears were rolling down her face. And I felt like it was because we gave her that safe space.
Mhm.
She knew her daughter was entertained and engaged. And I looked at my colleague Maggie, and I was just like, oh my gosh, how do you do this all the time? But it makes my heart happy to know that we are giving not just the patient, but these families as well, a safe space and a place where that parent can go, okay, my child is smiling and laughing and giggling and singing with Cinderella. There was a patient, luckily, most of our patients get healthy and leave the hospital and go on to live long, healthy, happy lives.
Mhm.
Occasionally they don't. This was a tough one. We had a little girl. She was in hospice, and we had Cinderella that day. And the little girl was in a hospital, and her parents and grandparents were bedside. And Cinderella went in the room, and the little girl was nonverbal at this point. I think she was
Mhm.
on a lot of pain medication. And Cinderella talked to her, and then Cinderella started singing Cinderella songs, and she has the voice of an angel,
Mhm.
and spent some time with this little girl, and the little girl just smiled the whole time. And when she left the room, the grandmother followed her down the hall and said, I want you to know something. We've been saying our goodbyes to our granddaughter for the last week, and what you just did is you brought a little bit of Disney in our room, and you gave us a smile and a memory that we will never forget. And I don't know how to thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. Now,
That
fortunately, most
Mhm.
of our kids do get healthy and leave the hospital, but occasionally they don't. And it makes us feel really good to have had that impact on the family as well.
Absolutely. That's something that the parents and grandparents will never ever forget for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, can you share then the moment that you realized this work wasn't just something you did, but it was something you were meant to do? What did that
Gosh,
feel like?
I think I knew after I hung up the phone with my board member, Tim, that I was supposed to do this. I don't think it was until I witnessed these hospital parties
Hmm.
that I realized the impact. I think that when you have a child in the hospital, especially long term, I had two of my kids were in the NICU for a little while, so I can empathize a bit. I think that you would do anything as a parent to take that away, like anything.
Hmm.
And as a parent, give me the cancer, give me the illness. Don't make my young child go through that. And I feel like what we do is we give that whole family, parent, patient, we give them a little bit of not only joy, but we're there for them.
Hmm.
We were at Lurie's and there was a dad, like a really probably 6'6" man, and I can't remember what character we had, but his little girl was obviously an oncology patient. She didn't have any hair. She was dancing with the character, and he just walked away and he just started sobbing. And I had no words. I walked up to him and I just put my hand on his shoulder and I said, "I'm here." You can't imagine like what that parent is going through.
No. The roller coaster of emotions you all experience. You too, Lynn. The fact that you get to do this for families, it's so powerful and selfless. And like you said, just to bring that little bit of joy to the family.
Yeah. We do something called packing parties where we go into businesses all over Chicagoland and we pack our activity boxes and our sensory bags and our hero packs. And we had a packing party last week at Discover Card where they had 100 employees packing these activity boxes. And one of the employees'
Mhm.
daughter was at Lurie's a couple of years ago. He had a picture that we actually put up on the screen and received Holiday Heroes programming.
Mm.
And he got up there in front of 100 of his colleagues and he said, "A lot of you probably don't know this." He said, "I've actually never spoken about this in public." And he just broke down. He said, "My kid was there and I will tell you what they do matters. It makes a difference." And I think that everyone, the room was silent. I think a lot of these
I'm sure.
coworkers didn't even know that he had a sick daughter.
Hmm.
2 years later, he's still talking about it. So it does impact. He said, "We were so scared." And I just remember there was like a box with a book. And I just remember sitting reading to her and thinking, oh my gosh, how nice that somebody brought this stuff in for us because we were so scared.
Yeah, that's the impact is just the ripple effect of that impact. Look, he stood up in front of 100 of his coworkers and the ripple effect to those people that are in that room. It's incredible. So
Yes.
it doesn't just affect the family, it
Right.
affects those around them too, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is the hardest truth that you've had to accept about helping others, that one that no one prepares you for?
We were at a packing party last year and it was a big one. We probably had 50, 60 people. And this woman came up to me after we always show a little video that gives a glimpse into a hospital party. And she came up to me and she was crying. And she said, "I didn't know it was you." And I said, "You didn't know what was us?" She's, "When my son was in the hospital, I didn't know that was you." And her son didn't make it. And I was like, wow, like, unfortunately, that's part of it. And that's hard.
Mhm.
That's really hard.
That is, but I think obviously the joy you bring to the families, the experiences you create for the kids, that outweighs the good outweighs those
100%.
handful
Yeah.
of, and that's not to take away from how tragic that is or how sad those are, but the good far outweighs the bad, and that's what you're there to do. And for these families
Yeah.
is to give them these gifts of joy and happiness and
Yes.
all the things. It is such incredibly selfless work. It is so beautiful, truly. This is amazing what your
Well,
organization does.
we have the best team, Brad. My colleagues, two of them are child life specialists by training. Everything that we bring in our programming is specific for breathing exercise. It's not just a bunch of toys that we throw in a
Yeah.
box. It's very specific to different anxiety and things that will help
Hmm.
the patient. So, and we are so fortunate that we have so many wonderful volunteers. We couldn't do like our packing parties. We can pack 200 activity boxes in an hour with a nice big packing party with a
Yeah.
staff of 3 in Chicago, there's no way we could physically do that. So we're very fortunate that we have great volunteers that step up and help us get all the stuff packed.
That's amazing. And so, how is working with sick children reshaped the way you define success in your own life?
I feel like I say this almost every day. If I ever complain about anything, someone stop me. I have nothing to complain about. How lucky am I that I have 4 healthy children? I just, yeah, it's pretty impactful when you see these families in these situations.
For sure. How can it not? It
Yeah.
couldn't not have an impact on you
Yeah.
and make you appreciate and be grateful for what you have.
And some of these patients don't have families. We had an instance recently where there's a pediatric psychiatric unit at UI
Mhm.
Health, and they had 5 patients in the ward that day. And we had Wonder Woman, and
Mhm.
we went back there, and they were all between the ages of 16 and 20.
Mhm.
And they were all EFS kids that had no one visiting them ever.
Man.
And Wonder Woman, I didn't know what to expect. It was very high security. There was like 1 security guard per patient and
Mhm.
child life and nurses. And we went back and we had brought them pot bellies for lunch. So they were ecstatic because they weren't eating hospital food. And she connected with these kids. They were 5 girls. And she does this thing where she has this whole photo set up with a light, and she does these selfies with them with the
Mhm.
remote. And then we print them out right there, and we have Holiday Hero frames that we put them in. And I was thinking, these girls they know she's not Wonder Woman. They're
Mm.
not little kids. And she took a picture with all of them. And the 5th girl, when Wonder Woman said, "Okay, let's take a picture." I don't want a picture. I just want to be invisible." And she said,
Ugh.
"How about if I take a picture by myself and I'll give it to you and you can be in it because you're invisible?" And she's okay. So we're wrapping up lunch, and
Mhm.
this girl, one of the patients, came and she hugged the child life specialist, Sam. She hugged Sam and she said, "You know what? Most days, no one knows we're here. No one cares we're here.
Jesus.
But today, I felt like someone cared we were here." I walked out of that room, Brad. That's why we do this. Yeah.
How could you not cry from that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Absolutely heartbreaking. But the joy that you guys are bringing to them, even if it's only an hour, to
Yeah.
give them that bit of joy is
Yeah.
wow. Just so what is the age range then typically of the kids, for lack of a better term, that you go visit? You said there were
Yeah.
16 to 20 for these 5. So
Yeah, so
what's
the pediatric ends at 20, so
okay.
we don't see anyone that's
Right.
over 20, and we start as early as the NICU, and I know that sounds crazy because these babies are newborn, and a lot of them
Mhm.
are 4 pounds or 2 pounds, and we have infant bags that we bring to the NICU.
Mhm.
And what that infant bag is, it does have things for the kids. It has a
Mhm.
rattle, it has some little infant toys, but it also has an adult coloring book and hand lotion and chapstick and a journal
For
for
the
those parents
parents.
that sit
Right.
cribside. And I will tell you, when you bring a costume character into the NICU and the mom is just sitting there holding the baby and bawling, and we'll walk out of the room and I'll say, that mom needed that visit way more than the baby.
Yeah.
And it's so true. So really it's any age.
Mhm.
And it's funny because sometimes I think, oh gosh, a 14-year-old girl is going to know that this is not Elsa.
Yeah.
But there's something so cool about a costume character where if I were to walk in, or a therapist or a child life specialist, these kids don't open up to
Mhm.
those. But there's something about a costume character where I feel like the patients connect and share and open up to her.
Their
It's
guard gets let down.
incredible. Yes.
I love
Yes.
it. Just amazing. What do you think most people misunderstand about pediatric illness and the families living inside it every single day?
I think how scary it is. That is
Mhm.
the one word that I hear from the parents. They'll say things like, "We're just trying to figure out what's going on with her. We're so scared."
Yeah,
It's a scary place to be.
for sure. For sure. What does leadership look like when currency isn't profit, but it's presence, just showing up?
It is truly a gift that, take the money out of this, what currency is the impact and the joy and the love that we share with these families. And it is priceless. It really is.
Yeah, you can't put a price tag on it. You just cannot. The smiles on those, I can only imagine the smiles on their faces, to hear laughter. That's currency right there.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we had, Brad, a really cool partnership with the Chicago Blackhawks, which is our hockey team here, where we did a packing party at their practice rink after they practiced one day. And so the
Yeah.
team got to pack these boxes. And then there's a hospital in Chicago. It's called Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, and the Blackhawks have a long-term partnership with them. And so we, at a hospital party, the Blackhawks team came
Oh, man.
out, and this was last week, and 21 Blackhawks players came. Before they arrived, they gave every patient in the pediatric unit a Blackhawks jersey, the appropriate size. A lot of these kids were in wheelchairs and like full assist, were not able to be mobile. So what they did is they call it sled hockey, where they got all these little kids out of their wheelchairs, and they strapped them into these sleds, and they got to play hockey on the floor with the Chicago.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. It was one of those pinch me days where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. Like,
that is phenomenal.
And the parents were just like over the moon.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
They were doing wheelchair races down the highway.
Wow. And I'm sure some of these players were some of the kids' heroes. Holy shit. That is.
There was a little boy. He was 8 years old, and he was the cutest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. The cutest little boy. And he has played hockey since he was a toddler. And he recently became a paraplegic, so he was in a wheelchair. And they said he was going to speak, but really they just asked him questions and he answered. But they let him, the Blackhawks just redid the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab Blackhawks playroom. So they had a ribbon cutting, and they let this little boy cut the ribbon. And the way in his little wheelchair that he looked up to these players, it made your heart so happy. Like, he was in awe that he got to play sled hockey with his heroes.
Amazing. You can't see, that's the shit. You can't put a price on that. There is no amount of money that you could equate that to. None. Fuck. So incredible. So speaking of joy, we've used that word a lot. What has joy taught you about resilience, leadership, and humanity? The joy you get to experience every day.
I think that we bring joy to these kids. And even if it's just 10 minutes of joy, I think what joy means is it gives you a break from stuff that's not joyful and not happy, and the bad stuff, the sickness, the illness. Joy has taught me that, I don't know if you've ever been there, but when you're going through something really hard and someone makes you laugh really hard for the first time in a long time, and you say, oh my gosh, it feels so good to laugh.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we do with our joy. We spread this joy, and we give these patients and these families a little laughter. And we have a doctor on our board, and she says, this is part of the healing process. This makes a difference in healing.
For sure. I can always remember hearing the statement for as long as I can remember, even back to when I was a kid, laughter is the best medicine. It heals.
Yeah.
Joy, laughter, happiness, like that heals. It does.
And I think that giving a little joy, spreading a little joy, it tends to affect the attitude of these patients.
Of course.
Like, okay, I'm laughing. I'm dancing with Cinderella. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yes, 100%. So how do you define strength now after witnessing the incredible courage in these children who shouldn't have to be brave, really? They shouldn't have to be at these young ages.
It's funny, Brad, when people refer to us as the holiday heroes, I always say, oh no, we're not the heroes. These little patients are heroes. They really are. There was a little girl, she was 6, and she found out that she had to have a blood draw every single day. And for a 6-year-old, needles, it's horrific. And so she made a deal with her child life specialist that after her blood draw, she got to pick a craft out of the activity box every day. And I thought, wow, if we can even help make these kids a little bit brave. And she also said, because when Wonder Woman was there, she told her she was part of the superhero and she gave her bravery. And and the child life specialist said, and I always said to her every day, remember what Wonder Woman said, how brave you are. And she said, I think that is the definition of strength, is these little kids that didn't ask for this. And having to be a parent and watch your child go through an illness like that is just, you have to be strong.
Yeah, for sure. So, what is the uncomfortable truth about empathy that more people need to hear, but maybe aren't ready for it, do you think?
This has taught me more than anything. You never truly know what someone else is going through. These parents, they walk out of those hospital doors and they're walking down the street in Chicago, and it's a person that you pass on the sidewalk. You don't know that they just left the oncology unit holding their daughter or their son's hand. So I think it's so important to empathize with everyone and to show that empathy and to know that you never really know the whole story and what someone else is going through, and just have grace and heart and patience with people.
Yeah, we as a human race can be so judgmental. And what you said, you never know what someone else is going through. So just be kind. It doesn't cost you a cent to be kind to people.
Yes.
And you could completely change the trajectory of someone's day by being kind. It could just be something as simple as a smile or saying hi. So often we are so focused on our own lives and caught up in our own shit that we're walking down the street, heads down, don't even pay attention to who's around us, what's around us. All you have to do is lift your head and smile at someone or say hi to someone, and that can completely make their day. You never know.
Yep. I really try to always, if I see someone that's dressed nicely or I love their hair, I always try to compliment, because for that reason, like, you never know what they're going through. And if I can just bring 10 seconds of joy, then I want to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For the listener who maybe feels powerless in the face of suffering, what is one small human thing they can do today that actually matters, do you think?
I think just what we were talking about. Give someone a smile, compliment someone, pay for someone's order behind you in the drive-thru. Just those little acts of kindness, I think, mean so much. And I know that when I receive little acts of kindness, like when someone has paid for my food order, I talk about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe it. Someone just paid for my order. So I do feel like that also has a ripple effect with good stuff. You know?
I love the complimenting. Give someone a compliment. Just, you like something, you like their hair. Like you said, you like their hair, you like their shoes, whatever.
Yeah.
Just, it makes people feel seen. And really, when you think about it, two things we all crave is just to be seen and heard. So do a tiny little act like that to say, hey, you look wonderful today. Just wanted you to know. It's just speaking words. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. And even if it did cost you, who cares? Like you said, pay for the person behind you's order once in a while.
Yeah.
Without any expectation. Just do it. Just do it just because.
So, funny story, I do tend to do that, pay for the person's order behind me. And a few years ago, I said to myself, okay, like every day of December, just do something kind. And so I paid for someone's order behind me. And then a few hours later, I was at work and he walked in, this man that plowed our driveway for our work building, walked in with a box of Fannie Mae candy for me. And he said, thank you so much for paying for my McDonald's. And I said, I didn't know it was you. And he goes, you didn't? I thought you did it. I thought you recognized me. I said, no, I never even looked behind me because I don't want to see the person. I just pay. So I did that for him. So then he came to my place of business and brought me a box of Fannie Mae candy.
Amazing.
So it let's keep it going.
Yeah, just keep that going. That's exactly it. I love it. Yeah. I started this initiative 3 years ago. This is my 4th year doing it, the 30-day voice note challenge. And so I had this idea to create this challenge where I get as many people as I can to sign up. And what you have to do is the bare minimum is leave one voice note for one different person every day for the month of December. And just, you could tell how much you appreciate them, how grateful you are for them in your lives. You love them. It has to be just one person and a different person every day for the month of
I love it.
December. And the thought behind it is, let's end the year on this beautiful, let's finish off 2025, whatever year we're in, on a high note and go into the following year feeling good about ourselves. You have no idea the messages I get from
Yeah.
people, and the messages from the people that participate that I hear back saying, thank you so much for doing this. You have no idea how incredible this was or how powerful. It's just little silly little things like that make such a huge impact in people's lives. So I have everyone sign up on a Google spreadsheet, and I have them track, put in the amount of messages they sent each day. Most people usually send more than one message a day, and I track. And then at the end of it, I add it all up and say, this is how many people's lives we impacted for 1 month. Like, how amazing is that?
Brad, I'm going to do it for the rest of the month. I love this idea.
Well, I'll give you the link when we're done here. You can hop on and participate. I just think it's such a beautiful way to end the year and to go into the new year. And the fact that we're impacting people's lives, like messages I've gotten from people that I've left messages for, people have been crying saying, you have no idea how much that touched my heart. That's what it's about. Yeah. That's it. We are here to be in and of service to one another, to support each other. So small, tiny little acts of kindness, like a 30-day voice note challenge or paying for someone's order behind you. You have no idea the impact you can have by doing something so small.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It makes a difference.
It does. It really does. And so what has this work taught you about presence that every parent, leader, and human being needs to hear?
You can't take it with you. Presence, being there for your family, for your friends, getting off these stupid devices. It's like ridiculous. When we go to dinner, the kids and I, one of my sons started saying this a long time ago, and we always say it to each other now, hang up and hang out. So I just think being present is, that these kids in the hospital, their parents are soaking in every single day that they have.
Presence is everything. We can't go back and change anything that's happened in the past, and the future hasn't even arrived yet. So be present. You never know. Nobody knows how long we have here on this planet. So be in the present moment, whether that's with friends, with family, or even just yourself. Be present with yourself. It's so important. It's all we have is this moment right now, because nobody's promised tomorrow. Nobody.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So since we are in the holiday season right now, very timely that we're doing this interview today. If joy had a voice standing beside a hospital bed during the holidays, what do you think it would whisper to every one of us that are listening?
You've got this. You are enough. You are loved. Yeah. I'm just picturing an angel.
Yeah. I love it. So for the helpers and the caregivers and leaders that are listening, how do you give deeply without burning out or losing yourself in the process? What boundaries or inner practices for you have become non-negotiable? Because you have to protect your energy too. The work you do it takes a lot of energy and a lot of emotion.
Yes. I find that giving back, whether that's going to one of our hospital parties or going to a packing party where I get to share a mission with 100 people, that fills me up. That keeps me going. And I will tell you, Brad, every time I leave a hospital party, I am emotional and I say, that is why we do what we do. Because we have 75 hospital parties in Chicago a year. I don't go to all of them. I don't even go to half of them. I try to go to at least one a month, sometimes two. But it's so good for me to go because it really makes me go, okay, I need to raise more money for this organization. We need more sensory bags. We need a new van. What we're doing makes a difference, and it inspires me and fills me up in a good way to do more.
What is one lesson that you've learned from these children that every parent, aunt, teacher, grandparent, or mentor should be passing on to the next generation?
That's such a good question. I guess that They are brave and they are strong. Even young children, I think that as parents and caregivers and costume characters, I think we instill them that they can do this and they are brave. And what is the one thing we say all the time in the hospital? We say, it's okay to be scared, but you can do brave things. And you can be scared doing brave things, but we're going to do this and we're going to do it together and you're going to be brave and you're going to be scared and that's okay.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
I love that. If you could bottle a single feeling from your work, the work that you do, and give it to the world, what would it be? And why would you give that feeling?
I have to say joy. I know we say it all the time, but it's such a big general word. And joy can mean so many different things to so many different kids. And what is joy to a 2-year-old is a different joy than I'm giving to a 16-year-old. And joy can mean us. In Nashville, we have movie nights in hospitals and we give the kids goodie bags that coordinate with whatever movie they're seeing. And those teenagers like that. That's giving them joy. And for an 8-year-old girl at Lurie's that's been there for 3 weeks, dancing with Elsa around the playroom, that's joy. So I do think that we spread joy. And if I could bottle it up and give it to every kid, I would.
When was the last time that a child taught you something that adults never could? And how did it change or shift your perspective?
I think sometimes when we are in the big playrooms and we do crafts and we do the hero packs and things with the kids, it's so funny because I'm a little bit of a neat freak and we have paint and they're glue guns and they're doing all this stuff. It's making a mess and it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
You can let that go?
Yeah. We can clean the mess because they are in the moment enjoying what they're doing. And I don't need to be wiping up anything. Let them be kids. Say that all the time. Let them be kids.
What is one belief about humanity that you've had to completely let go of to keep doing this work, to continue on this journey?
We don't always ask for the hand that we're given. And I do try to know that, like we touched on earlier, you never really know what someone's going through. And so I try to have empathy even when people are not kind, because you don't know what they're going through. And I try to just always remember that. Like when someone cuts me off in traffic, I always say, oh, they're having a baby and they're racing to the hospital.
They wouldn't be that mean to do something. There's got to be a bigger reason.
That's why they do that.
I just keep telling myself that, keep myself calm.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
Okay.
Although I don't normally get too pissed off when I'm driving because I just think, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You obviously have a self-importance thing, so you go ahead. Right. That's what I tell myself. You think you're that self-important that you need to get there ahead of me? Okay, so be it.
Go for it.
Yeah. If you could sit every listener down on the edge of a child's hospital bed, no distractions, no noise, what is the one truth about life, love, or presence that you would need them to hear right now?
About life, that life is precious and we don't appreciate our health until we don't have it. And this job has taught me that at the end of the day, that's number one thing. And unfortunately, it's when we start losing our health, I think that we start paying attention to it. And I think that sitting on the end of a child's bed in the hospital, I think you have to go, wow, you only get one life and I better appreciate every second of every minute of every day.
Yeah. Huh? If this episode were the only message that someone heard before they went back to their busy, distracted, self-absorbed life, what is the one thing you think they could not afford to forget from this interview?
That I feel like being grateful every day for what you have. Be grateful that you're not a parent sitting on the side of a kid's bed right now. Be grateful that you do have your health and healthy family and friends. And I just think in general, people are good. People are good. Even everyone has bad days, but in general, people are just good. And I see good people every day. I see our staff is phenomenal. I see good people in so many volunteers that we have. I see good people in these doctors and these nurses and these child life specialists that work with these kids every day. Yeah, humans are good.
I 1000% agree with you. I think there is far more good in this world than there is bad. unfortunately, because of social media, because of the media, because of algorithms, we tend to only see, not only, we tend to see more of the bad in these places, but there is far more good, I
Yeah.
believe, in the world.
Yeah.
Far more
Especially,
light.
yes. And especially this time of year, I just feel like I try to find good everywhere because it
Mm-hmm.
is everywhere.
Yep, it is truly. I agree with you. What does freedom mean to you at the very deepest level beyond money, recognition, status?
Freedom, this job has taught me that freedom is being able to walk out of that hospital with your kid in a clean bill of health.
Hmm.
Nothing else matters. Nothing else. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are. Sickness and illness doesn't discriminate. It doesn't, none of that stuff matters. Yes, if you have a lot of money, can you go to the Mayo Clinic and the very best hospitals in the world? For sure. But that doesn't always mean that you're going to get better.
Yeah.
So I just think, yeah,
How do you define success?
success is a feeling that you have at the end of the day when you know you've made a difference. And I am so fortunate that with this job, I get to feel that all the time.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment means I can do whatever I set my mind to do.
Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answers. Okay.
Okay.
What is your favorite place on earth?
Cabo San Lucas.
What is one of your secret or hidden talents?
Parallel parking. I'm really good at it.
All right.
I challenge
believe
myself.
you. I believe you. If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Love each other.
What is one of your guilty pleasures?
Buttercream frosting.
What is one word that sums up your mindset?
Open.
One book that changed your life?
The Bible.
What is one word that defines the woman you are becoming? That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time. How do you define love, both the kind you give and the kind you receive?
That feeling where you would do anything and everything for another human, dog, horse. You put their needs above your own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a feeling that you have in your heart.
Lynn, if you were to introduce yourself to me without mentioning your occupation, where you're from, your ethnicity, your religion, all of these day-to-day superficial bullshit markers that we use, how would you introduce yourself to me?
Gosh, that's a great question. You know, it's so funny. I would have probably introduced myself with my maiden name, which I don't know why, but sometimes I forget. I'm like, oh, Lynn Anderson, because I was Lynn Anderson for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would say I'm Lynn Anderson, and I am so happy to meet you and learn about you.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
Gosh, I don't know, Brad. You ask good questions. What's the saddest thing that you've ever seen at Holiday Heroes?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't like crying on podcasts.
It's okay. It's okay. They're tears of care, of joy, of not joy, but of caring and emotion. It's okay.
Yeah. There was a little girl. She was nonverbal. She was a long time, probably most of her life. I think she was like 13 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And she had more wires and tubes, and she had a halo. And I just remember like being outside her room, and we were doing a bedside visit with her. And I can't remember what character we had that day, but she was singing to her. And the parents were just crying and crying. And a couple of the nurses, everyone loved this girl. And they were like, it must have been Cinderella, because one of the nurses said, "This is incredible." And I said, "What?" And she said, "Can Cinderella stay all day?" She said, "We measured the patient's heart rate because her heart is dangerously high."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, when Cinderella started singing, she's on this heart monitor. She said, "I noticed her heart went down." And then she said, by the end of the first song, it was right where it's supposed to be. And I literally had to walk away because I was, oh my gosh, like we're making a difference. Yeah.
And what do you say to that? Obviously, you can't stay there all day. You want to, but that'd be a hard thing to try. I'm sorry, we can't. That would be so hard to do.
I know. Yeah. And just the look,
especially when you see that impact right there. It's black and white. You can't deny that there's an impact.
Yeah. And our impact is often hard to measure, but that was like a perfect example of a measurable impact that we had.
Yeah. And so how long typically then are the visits, are the Holiday Hero parties?
So our parties are a couple hours long,
Mhm.
and it depends on post-COVID. A lot of the hospitals haven't gone back to using their big community playrooms.
Mhm.
So in those hospitals, we're all bedside visits, which I find to be actually so special
It's more
because
intimate.
yeah, and that patient feels like they're the only reason that Wonder
Mhm.
Woman came to the hospital is to meet them. She
Yeah.
doesn't ever rush or so depending on what happens is when we get to the hospital, our child life specialist will have her census and who's in that day. And
Mhm.
we work around doctor visits and
Right.
rounds and
Yeah.
vomiting and napping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So if some days we might have 10 bedside visits, some days we might have 20.
Wow.
Some days, if everyone comes to the playroom, we might have a ton of kids.
Yeah.
And some days it's flu season and a lot of the kids can't leave. So
Right.
it just depends on the day. But
Mhm.
I would say on average, she spends probably like 10, 15 minutes with
With
each
each
kid.
kid.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. It's so cool, Brad. I'm so fortunate that I get to do this for a job and make a difference in these families and these patients' lives.
That's what it's about, is making a difference in people's lives, having an impact. That's part of why we're all here.
Yeah.
And you get to do that every day. Amazing. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Oprah Winfrey, because when I was young, she filmed in Chicago, and so I got
Mhm.
to go. And I feel like that woman had nothing was stacked in her favor, and she really overcame and did incredible things for a lot of people and is just a powerhouse of a human.
Okay. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Don't sweat the small stuff. Man, when I was young, I worried about everything, and I worried about being perfect, and I worried about all the stuff that really doesn't matter. So I would say exhale, relax, don't worry about the little stuff. 5 years from now, it's not going to make a difference.
Lastly, Lynn, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your corner of the world, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Words of wisdom. I would first say I am so blessed and grateful for the wonderful life I've had, for my 4 young adult, successful, amazing kids that truly made my life what it is. If I die tomorrow, I would die a happy woman. And I would just say, just love each other. This seems to be the theme with our chat today, but it's true. There's good everywhere and people are good.
Mhm.
And just love each other and be kind and give compliments. Take people out for coffee or wine. Take the trips.
Beautiful.
Enjoy every day.
I love it. Lynn, thank you so very much for taking and making the time to be here
Thank
with
you,
me today.
Brad.
It
I
has,
really enjoyed chatting with
it has been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on the show to share the incredible gifts, the incredible light that you are putting out into the world through this amazingly important work that you're doing. It is so incredible. I've enjoyed every minute of our conversation. And
Thank
just
you.
hearing about the work you do, it is so inspiring. So thank you for inspiring me today. Thank you for filling my heart and my soul through this conversation. It has been absolutely wonderful and beautiful. I am grateful for the opportunity. I am grateful for your friendship. I am grateful to have you as a member of the Empowerography community. Keep shining that beautiful light of yours out into the world through the work you're doing.
Thank you, Brad. It was my pleasure to join you today. So thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest has been Lynn Reckamp. She is the executive director of Holiday Heroes, where she channels her passion into bringing joy and comfort to pediatric patients. Thank you so much, Lynn. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.